You like
He
apples?
literally-
You like
I got a
that.
number. How you like them?
them apples. Everybody's
Yo, welcome to the first episode of the WatchTower podcast, the new podcast brought to you by the new Tower Productions podcasting network, the Towercast Network. I'm here joined today by my co-host, John Eric Castro.
How's it going, guys? John Eric Castro here, trying to give you an interesting pilot episode for the new show, WatchTower.
Yeah. And we have we have our engineers and directors, Michael De La O and Austin Young here in the background, just making sure we're sounding good and making sure this episode's sounding good for all you guys.
I'm the one who's not Eric Castro.
Finally, we have a very special guest today. We have our good friend Oscar Garza. He's joining us.
Oh. I don't know why I just waved on a video thing, even though it's audio.
There will be a video element, actually. It'll be on YouTube.
Oh, there will be?
Yeah.
As long as you don't clap in the theater, dude, after the movie, dude. I hate that.
Good wave. Oscar's a good friend of ours and film aficionado. I love having film conversations with Oscar just because he's one of the people that I know that knows the most about cinema and loves cinema. And what's interesting about him is that he's not necessarily a filmmaker. He just loves cinema. He just loves watching and talking about films. And we have like a biased filmmaking outlook on it, but Oscar has just like film lover outlook on it, which is
just look at his posters. Look at him.
Yeah.
For our listeners, he's got
How are you?
Rosemary's Baby poster hanging in the background that we think is really cool.
Yeah, a little dark, but cool.
Yeah, a little bit darker. Yeah, I mean, it's not every film that deals with like the spawn of Satan, but
yeah. Oscar, the way we know Oscar, the way I know him is he's a TA for a film auteurs class that I took. That was a terrific class, and I got into fights with our professor all the time, which is really fun.
Shout out to him, Avant. Shout out to Avant.
Avant Mir is a terrific professor, man.
He's great.
He's got patience, man, because I gave him hell for sure, and I know you did too.
How did you give him hell?
Because I would also argue with him too, just like Carlos. Like I would give him my opinion, and we would just go at it.
With which one? Was like debating whether or not Almodovar was on a tour.
Well, it's because he likes which is the director that he's fascinated with?
Pedro Almodovar.
Yeah, and I was just like, they're not that good.
You know what it was for me, man, is I got in the big, I don't know if you were there that day, Oscar, but I got in the big argument with Avant about he released his list of auteurs of who he thinks is an auteur.
Oh, yeah,
he did that. Yeah, he did that too.
I was there.
And I argued with him because Tyler Perry was on the list and Kevin Smith wasn't.
Oh, yeah, you did tell me.
We had this whole discussion about why is Tyler Perry? I get Tyler Perry has his style. He's an auteur, and I get that. But Kevin Smith, I'd argue, is more of an auteur. He's got his own style. He's got his own flavor, and he brings. I think he offers something much more special to cinema than Tyler Perry does, and that was the whole argument.
Or was Judd Apatow in there? Did he have Judd Apatow?
I don't think he did. I don't think he had.
He totally. I mean, he's totally. You can tell when it's a Judd Apatow film as well. Just like you can tell when it's a Kevin Smith film. You can tell when it's
That's for damn sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but we got in so many arguments, but good, healthy, like challenging arguments.
Yeah.
But there was one moment where like we got in each other's good graces because he had this moment in his lectures where he talked about the impact that Scorsese had on using soundtrack in cinema.
Oh yeah.
And how nobody ever talks about that, and nobody gives Scorsese credit that he's really the first one to use popular music in cinema and make it his own and use rock and roll and stuff like that. So that we got into a good talk about that, how Scorsese doesn't get that credit, and so we got into each other's good graces then.
I had to apologize to him after a couple of semesters. I had to go back to him because he makes you think.
Really?
Yeah, it makes you like wonder about stuff, like things that you didn't see.
For sure.
You're thick-headed, right? You're biased to your own opinion, but he'll give you something to really think about. So
he's an author, man. He's an author, and he's a respected professor. We bumped into him. He was actually present for our when we won the 48-hour challenge. He was actually there.
That's where I apologized.
Yeah, he congratulated us, and he was there, and that was really cool, man. He actually told us that he wants us to lecture before all this craziness happened. We were planning on when to go present Tower Productions and let filmmakers know if they want to be involved in his. He asked us to come talk to his class basically, and then this COVID thing happened and we couldn't. So yeah.
So shout out to Avant.
Yeah, but anyways, Oscar,
Good Will Hunting.
Oscar actually. Well, before we get into the film, I just want to mention Oscar is part of a podcast of his own that I've been lucky to be a guest on for a few times. With his team over at Beacon Claw Podcast, they have Movies Mayhem Soap with producer George, and our good friend Chris Blade. He's a good friend, and I've been on their show 4 or 5 times or something, and it's always a blast to talk to these dudes about movies, man. We get in so many good
sounds fun, dude. Sounds fun.
We should do a whole like epic Avengers crossover thing and just have everybody.
Yeah.
And then that's when we should have like the whole drinking team.
Dude, yes, I'm so for it. We'll have a Tower Productions Beacon Claws podcast mix. Let's do it, man. I love it.
Yeah.
But shout out to Movies Mayhem Soap, guys. If you don't already subscribe to them on their respective podcast or your respective podcast platform, make sure to subscribe to them and check them out. They're cool dudes. They support artists all around. They let me go on there and talk about Tower as much as I want, and that's awesome. That's awesome of them to be able to promote artists from around the
Just
city.
give Carlos free reign on everything.
Pretty much. But anyways, yes, today we're going to be talking about Good Will Hunting. Good Will Hunting for the pilot. So I thought it was very special. It's my favorite film of all time, and that's why I suggested we talk about this. I think it's a very underrated film. I'm going to give just some quick details of the film. You know, this 1997 drama was written by Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, which we'll get into right now. Fantastic script, and it was directed by the great Gus Van Sant, which I think is an underrated director. He's an art house guy. He's an experimental type of guy, but he knows how to break down characters. He knows how to make characters, and I think that's what's special about Gus Van Sant, who also directed films like Milk and Drugstore Cowboy and My Own Private Idaho. Just terrific pictures all around. Matt Damon stars as Will Hunting, Ben Affleck as his close friend Chucky, Stellan Skarsgård giving an amazing performance as Professor Lambeau, and last but not least, the late great Robin Williams, who actually won an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor for this picture. And we miss him. We miss him, man. We miss his performance. We miss his style, and he was just electric in this film. He was fantastic.
The original Popeye.
Yes.
Aladdin. Nobody can take Aladdin from him.
That's an underrated. That's an underrated film, by the way. Robert Altman's Popeye.
I liked it. Yeah, it's kind of
it's so weird. It's like a live action cartoon brought to life. It's amazing.
The long shots are
it's weird. It's made into the Disney style of live action pictures in that era, like Alice in Wonderland, the live action Alice in Wonderland. Like it's made in that style, and I really enjoyed Popeye. And Robin Williams is just terrific, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Good Will Hunting, guys. You know, this film was it also won an Academy Award for Best Original Screenplay, giving Matt Damon and Ben Affleck their first Academy Award. This film was produced by very notable names that I do want to mention. It was made in Miramax, and I think Miramax was like the golden age of indie cinema. And I think it doesn't get talked about enough because of in light of the recent events with the Weinsteins. They ran Miramax before it was sold to Disney. And Bob and Harvey Weinstein, anything they touched turned into gold when it came to indie cinema, and that's just a fact of history in cinema. And what's cool about that is that we had people like Miramax runners, Miramax producers, directors, writers. They all kind of came together to champion this film. And one notable name that was a producer for this film was Kevin Smith. Kevin Smith produced. He was the champion because Kevin Smith, Ben Affleck worked together on Mallrats, and they already kind of had a rapport. And actually, when Ben Affleck was auditioning for Mallrats, he had already heard about this good script floating around. And when he finally got his hands on it, he read it and he took it straight to Harvey Weinstein and said, "You need to read this like now."
Interesting.
You gotta read this now.
Yeah.
Doing a Boston accent.
There you go. Yeah. Nah. With the khakis, you know what I mean?
All right, Chucky.
But Kevin Smith took it to Weinstein's office. He championed it. Him and Scott Mosier were co-producers on this film. It's also notable to note that Lawrence Bender, which is Quentin Tarantino's producer for most of his career, was a producer on this film as well. Lawrence Bender. and also Chris Moore. Chris Moore was a big producer for Miramax. He's most notably known for two things: for American Pie franchise, that was his baby. He produced that, and he also did Project Greenlight. That was his. He was the producer on set, making sure Project Greenlight.
Oh, I love that one.
So he's actually on camera a lot in Project Greenlight. He's like teaching the filmmakers and directors what to do and stuff. And he's obviously good friends with Ben Affleck and Matt Damon.
Matt Damon, I was going to say that. Yeah.
That's how Project Greenlight came to be. So just a lot of notable names that championed this film. And one fun fact, it wasn't until Robin Williams signed on to do the picture that they finally agreed to do the film, and they got the money to do it. It was Robin Williams' commitment to make this happen.
Why? Because they wanted somebody known?
Yeah, I think it's important to note that Matt Damon and Ben Affleck weren't known. I mean, Ben Affleck had done films like Dazed and Confused, and he did smaller parts. Matt Damon did the Denzel Washington film. Was it Glory?
Oh, damn.
I forget which one it was, but he did a small part. And then Francis Ford Coppola took note of that and did The Rainmaker with him. And then that's when Matt Damon started getting some traction. But he wasn't known at all. These two weren't known, and that's why they co-wrote the script.
Did Talented Mr. Ripley come after?
Yeah, it came after.
Yeah.
It came after
Right?
Good Will Hunting. Yeah, very much in the same vein, that film.
Yeah.
It's a Good Will Hunting, but it's they weren't known at all, especially not as actors. They were trying to be actors their whole lives. I mean, these two guys were running around with the likes of like Leo DiCaprio and Tobey Maguire, and they were all just kind of running around Hollywood trying to make it since they were kids. That's actually how Matt Damon and Ben Affleck met. They met at an audition, and then they became friends when they were kids. And then they kind of just they lived together when they were writing Good Will Hunting with Casey Affleck, Ben Affleck's brother, who also makes an appearance in the film. And I think his character is just so fun, man.
You said that they wrote it for him, right?
They wrote it for him. They wrote it for him. And in fact, his name in the film, if I'm not mistaken, is actually Casey.
Yeah, it is.
So yeah, let me double check that for sure.
Because
he plays Morgan. He plays Morgan.
Morgan, yeah. Morgan.
By the way, for the people that might not remember, Tobey Maguire was the first Spider-Man. He plays the first Spider-Man.
You know what, man? I love Raimi Spider-Man. It is what it is, but I loved him in Gatsby, man. I think
he was great.
Performance in Gatsby is
that's when he really showed us. Yeah,
stuck with me a lot. I mean, he did a lot of stuff. I haven't seen Brothers. Shamefully,
Brothers is great.
I've never seen Brothers.
Oh, dude, that was deep. That was deep.
Yeah.
But yeah, Tobey Maguire was in that realm for sure. And Good Will Hunting, guys. What do you all think, man? What's your all thoughts on this picture? This terrific film.
Ah, man, that's when I first really saw Robin Williams. That's when I was growing up, 97, and man, the acting. When he's talking about his wife and he slams him against the wall and he said, "You ever touch? I'll drop you."
The sky's falling on your head. The waves are crashing over your little boat. The oars are about to snap. You're just pissing your pants. You're crying for the harbor. So maybe you do what you got to do to get out. Maybe you became a psychologist. Bingo. That's it. Let me do my job now. You start with me. Come on. Maybe you married the wrong woman. Maybe you should watch your mouth. Watch it right there, Chief, all right? Well, that's it, isn't it? You married the wrong woman. What happened? Why'd she leave you? Was she, banging some other guy? If you ever disrespect my wife again, I will end you. I will fucking end you. Got that, Chief? Time's up.
That's so good.
He's in the moment. Like he's in, and Matt's just reaction is like, okay. Anybody would have gotten pissed off, but he's like, okay, I like this guy. Out of the 5 therapists that I saw, I think that's when you fairly notice, and it shows.
It's a pissing contest, man, and I love a line that Stellan Skarsgård said in the film where he's like, "What is this? A staring contest between two kids from the old neighborhood?" And he said, "Yes, and I can't break first. I can't be the one to talk first. It's got to be him." So it's just so good, so good. But I love that you notably Eric Castro is an actor well within his own right, a respective actor, and he's giving us this acting perspective. And I love that you most notably brought in Robin Williams' performance to talk about. That's really cool.
That's just to start. I mean, Matt Damon, Ben Affleck is underrated in this one. I don't know why people just don't like him. He had key moments in this film.
Key moments. What was your thoughts, Oscar? Kind of general thoughts about the film. Where do you?
I've always loved it, but rewatching it yesterday, I really, it was like
me too,
like a breath of fresh air again. I was like, oh yeah, this is why I love this film. And like Robin Williams' performance, what I found like most interesting about it is that he never really like goes super showy. Like
it's all subtleties.
It's all super subtle, and like all his big moments are all super quiet. Yep. And like when we were talking, I think I mentioned to you yesterday, like the lake, which is like the big moment in the film.
I wanna say what Oscar told me. I want to say his exact because we're preparing for this podcast and everybody watched the film and we're all talking about it. And Oscar sends me a message and he says, "Dude, can we spend like 3 hours just talking about the lake scene with Robin's monologue? Can we just talk about that, dude? Because just that scene." And I'm like,
it's
dude,
amazing.
Oh. On a director's perspective for that scene, let's get into that scene a little bit.
For sure.
That scene, I remember when Robin Williams died, they did a memorial at that park bench. Okay, this is an actual park in an actual, lake, small lake at one of the universities. And I think they actually were lucky enough to actually shoot in MIT, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so, yeah.
So this lake scene, when Robin Williams died, they filled the park bench with flowers and memoriams, and somebody wrote in chalk, I'll never forget this, somebody wrote, "Your move, Chief."
You're terrified of what you might say. Your move, Chief.
Oh, so good. Yay.
Just beautiful moment for me. And when I revisited the film last night as well, and I remember Austin and I were actually, and Delao were up playing a little bit of late night Warzone, and we didn't end up finished till midnight or something. And I still decided to watch the film. And Austin tells me, he's like, "Dude, you've watched the film like millions of times. You know it. Why are you gonna watch it again?" And I'm like, "I know, but I need to rewatch it. I just need to revisit this picture. I haven't seen it in like a year." Maybe a little less, but
it's one of those that you'll catch something new. Sometimes
you really do, and just and particularly with that scene from a director's standpoint, what I really love about this film in terms of technical directing terms is the subtle camera movements that take you by surprise. They take you don't know the camera's moving until you know it's moving, and once the characters are all up in your grill, it makes the moment so much more intimate. And one of those moments was at this park scene. So we have the camera subtly tracking from left to right and right to left.
Yeah.
And it's moving literally almost around these two characters when Robin Williams is talking. But the camera movement is so slow and so subtle that you don't feel it until you're like behind Matt Damon's head. But in all of these moments, it just gives you this serene kind of feel while they're in front of this beautiful kind of peaceful lake. And the camera movement just dictates the emotion that Robin Williams is really going into with telling Will, telling Hunting, telling his character, like, "You don't know shit, dude. You're a kid.
Yeah.
You're a kid." And
you don't know real loss until it occurs. Yeah.
It's just those lines. And I don't know if it was Ben or if it was Matt who wrote that monologue, but just those lines, like, you don't know about, if we talk about war, you'll probably throw Shakespeare at me, huh?
Yeah.
Once the breach, dear friends, like, just genius.
That's what I was going to ask, is like, do you know who, because it at the same time seems so Robin Williams, like he came up with that. Right. But I wouldn't put it past Ben Affleck and Matt Damon that they actually came up with that.
Here's the good argument about that script is that people think, and they make fun of it. Ben Affleck and Matt Damon are still friends, and they still go on Kimmel and joke around and talk about this film. And if you haven't seen the Kimmel Matt Damon band from Jimmy Kimmel, go check it out on YouTube, guys. It's so hilarious.
Oh,
Jimmy
great.
Kimmel pretends basically that he never has time to have Matt Damon on the show.
It's so great.
And there's a moment. There's many moments where Matt Damon tries to sneak in, or like he kidnaps Jimmy and kidnaps the show.
Yes,
but there's one moment where like Ben Affleck sneaks him in with like a fat suit. And I think it was like for the Oscars one year, and they talk about Good Will Hunting a little bit. But anyways, the whole argument is who wrote more, Matt Damon or Ben Affleck. Obviously, Matt Damon's name has top billing; it's first, and that usually for writers means that person contributed more. However, I believed all of that until I saw just how much of a powerhouse director Ben Affleck is, because Ben Affleck as a director is fantastic.
So you think you're leaning more towards Ben?
No, I'm just thinking that he contributed just as much. Like, I'm thinking that it wasn't just Matt. I think Matt did come up with the story and did come up with these characters. But I do think that Ben was pivotal as a director. I think his director brain was already working. And I think that he was contributing special moments like the Chucky moment, like the realism of the Boston characters. The Boston accents. I think Ben Affleck contributed more than he's given credit, in my opinion, just because he's proved himself as a powerhouse filmmaker. He's proved himself as a good director.
But that was years later with Argo and all those.
Yeah, but think about this. Think about this for a moment. I love Matt Damon, by the way. Matt Damon is my second favorite actor of all time.
Genius.
He's my second favorite actor of all time, and he's unmatched. But
I could. Okay.
I love Matt Damon. I really do. I do think he wrote more. I do think he did.
Yeah.
However, after this film, there's really only 2 other films that Matt Damon wrote, and they weren't big hits at all.
Because he really got into acting.
Sure.
Ben was kind of up and down, Armageddon, and then
the whole Ben became the pretty boy of Hollywood. Ben became the star.
Oh, Gigi sucked, dude.
but they did another film. They did another film. That's Kevin Smith film. Watch out now.
Oh!
Watch out now. I'm sorry, Kevin Smith. Gus Van Sant did another picture. I think it was called Jerry.
Yeah, Jerry.
Right?
Jerry.
And what's cool about that film is that Matt Damon co-wrote that with Casey Affleck.
Yeah,
his brother.
It's both of them. It's both of them just wandering around the desert for 2 hours. It's great.
Super Gus.
I like those. Super
Gus Van Sant feel, dude.
Really Gus Van Sant.
It's like My Own Private Idaho. It's in that vein. But I do know that Matt Damon and Ben Affleck wrote this in order to star in it. That was the caveat. They wrote it because they wanted good, juicy characters to prove their range.
Right.
So
like Rocky.
Yeah. No, just like Rocky, the Rocky incident, and I think that's what happened there. And I think when we're talking about who wrote what, there's no way to tell. They don't talk about it. And the behind the scenes of Good Will Hunting on the Blu-ray, I have the 15th anniversary edition, and on that they have a special. Right. They have a special moment. They revisited the film after 15 years. Like they added, and they talked about, they kind of get a little bit about who wrote what, but they keep it limited. Like it's to mystery.
I gotta see that.
So I have the 15th anniversary edition of Good Will Hunting. And for those of you on YouTube, you can kind of see I'm holding it in my hands. Yeah. And in it, they revisited the film and they talk a little bit about who wrote what, but they don't really get into it. And I like that. They don't want to give more credit to one or the other.
You think there was still like a little
No, I don't think so. I think both of them are respective. I think, look, let me put it to you this way. I think Matt Damon went on to become the better actor, and I think Ben Affleck went on to become the better filmmaker.
Yeah, for sure.
So, I think it all worked out. They're both still friends. They both are still there for each other, and in the media are very much so still do a lot of I think they just recently did a fundraiser together for Omaze or something.
They haven't talked about writing something else together?
They I think they wrote the new Ridley Scott film.
No way.
I think so. I think it's about this. It's kind of like The Duelist, like the first Ridley Scott film that he did. It's like 16th century period piece, I want to say. But yeah, I think they're starring in it and they co-wrote it, or Matt Damon wrote it.
That's awesome, dude. That's awesome.
I'm a big thing. I love that.
I think well, like speaking of period pieces, Ben Affleck did fantastically. Ben Affleck, if you guys don't know this, has a relationship. He's literally related to Shakespeare in some way. He's related, to an actor that worked under Shakespeare's like theater company, something like that. He has some relation to Shakespeare. And what's awesome is that, speaking of Miramax films, Shakespeare in Love, which is a Miramax, I love that film. It's such a terrific film. Gwyneth Paltrow actually does a really good performance in this picture, and Ben Affleck comes out in it, and I think he plays his ancestor actually. And
okay, that's cool.
And just a period piece and stuff like that. And then obviously Matt Damon has done like the what are they called? What's that? The medieval piece.
I know that's the Great Wall.
No, not the Great Wall. We don't talk about. Hey, I love Zhang Yimou, but not the Great Wall. No. Beowulf, was it Beowulf or no? Brothers Grimm. He did Brothers Grimm.
Brothers Grimm, yeah.
He did Brothers Grimm. Period pieces. Anyways, what were you gonna say, Oscar?
It's called The Last Duel, and it's directed by Ridley Scott. It's written by Ben Affleck, Matt Damon, and Nicole Holofcener.
Dude, yes.
It stars Matt Damon, Adam Driver, Ben Affleck, and Jodie Comer.
Awesome. Nice. All right, cool. Love it, man. I'm so happy that they're working together again. It's time. And especially I think after Ben Affleck exited Batfleck, I think I loved. He was my favorite Batman, man. I'm not even gonna lie. He was.
Elaborate on that. Elaborate, please.
With the exception of Michael Keaton. Modern day. I know.
No, Keaton for sure. Keaton, yeah, for sure. Because I like the director, but Christian Bale was both Batman and Bruce Wayne. Nobody's been able to do both.
What about?
Okay, give me your take.
I think Ben Affleck. I think Ben Affleck fills the. I think. Yeah, he fills the suit, like physically and like emotionally, figuratively. I think he fills the suit a little better, man. Ben Affleck looks like he's been through some shit, dude.
Yeah.
Like his character, and he plays Batman that way. Christian Bale was a little too polished for me.
It's Batman. He's a millionaire.
Yeah, but he's dark and he's moody, and he's still dealing with the death of his parents.
Crime. It's not fun fighting crime.
Well, anyways, I think exiting. But the thing about Ben Affleck is he was also going to direct the new Batman.
He didn't.
No, he didn't. He exited because I remember hearing an interview where he just wasn't in love with the project anymore. He didn't want to play that for the next 10 years of his life. He wanted to get back to his more creative state. And was it Matt Reeves that took over? Matt Reeves took over, and then Robert Pattinson. I'm convinced that Robert Pattinson is going to do good. Okay.
Oh, I'm also in the Pattinson camp.
Yeah.
Right, like after
is he getting buff? Is he going to fill up the suit? Like he can feel Bruce Wayne.
I think like the dude has been doing really weird work after Twilight.
Yeah. So good times and
good times. Wow.
The Lighthouse.
The Lighthouse. That one. The Lighthouse, I'm convinced, was just like a Batman Joker story with Willem Dafoe playing the Joker, and it's so good.
I still haven't seen it either. I'll see it soon. But I think just in terms of talking about Ben Affleck and going back to like you again, if you've seen films like The Town and Argo, and you've seen film, I've never seen Gone Baby Gone.
It's good. Very good.
So that was his directorial debut, as far as I know.
It's different.
And Casey Affleck has a really big role, from what I understand, in that film as well.
He's the main character.
He's the main character, right? So just Ben Affleck, I think, went on to become the better filmmaker. But anyways, just getting back to our kind of Good Will Hunting. There's moments in this film that I definitely want to talk about. We talked about the lake scene a little bit. I think the one of the most important scenes to me, and I talk to Castro about this all the time, one of the most underrated scenes is the scene with Ben Affleck and Matt Damon in the yard, and in the work yard, and how he's like, man, how's your lady doing?
It was just right after you ended it with her.
I'm so glad you brought this up, because this is when you mentioned like the bits that are definitely Ben Affleck. Mm-hmm. This is one where I can feel like it's definitely Ben Affleck, and this is one of my favorite scenes as well.
Yeah, I think. Look, let's not forget. most people, when they think Good Will Hunting, they think about the amazing electrifying scene of the "It's Not Your Fault." That's obviously a big moment, and it's the moment everybody knows. And we think about
when he fights with his girlfriend, dude.
Well, no, I think, and I want to talk about that right now. But I think just to talk about the most known moments, it's obviously that one. I think there's two big moments in Good Will Hunting that are popular. Right. It's that one. It's the "It's Not Your Fault" scene, and it's the "How You Like Them Apples" scene, which is one of my favorite scenes. It just that whole scene of him.
You like apples?
I got a number. How you like them
apples?
and no, but more than that, the scene in the bar where he says, "Well, yeah, you'll be in here regurgitating Gordon Wood next day," and just that whole monologue is genius. Is genius, and
yes,
those are the popular.
And how he ends it. Oh, you want to go outside and see? You want?
Yes. But if you got a problem, I'm sure we can take care of it outside. Yeah, it's
his streets came out at the
end. Exactly. And when I graduated from UTEP, I got one of those hat toppers, and I have it somewhere here in my room, and it says Tower Productions, and then a quote right under it in quotes. It says, "My boy is wicked smart."
Wicked smart.
Casey Affleck's line from the film, and I had to do that, But anyways, those are the most known moments of the film. But I think it's important to note the scene with the girlfriend where she confronts him about, well, what about your 12 brothers? And he said, I don't have to do this. And that whole scene is very dynamic and very good. But that's a scene that's not talked about a lot. And then the Ben Affleck scene. So let's talk about the Ben Affleck scene a little bit.
From an actor's perspective, sorry.
Please,
from actor's perspective, I love how he's smoking and drinking. And it's so hard to keep it consistent. He does it so natural. It's natural. Yeah. He's smoking. He throws it away. Those things that an actor is what stands out for me.
Yeah, I think my favorite moment in that whole conversation is when Ben says, when Chucky says, you're sitting on a winning lottery ticket and you're too much of a pussy to cash it in. And then he's like, "Oh man, what is this? I owe it to myself." And he says, "No, fuck you. You don't owe it to yourself. You owe it to me."
Look, you're my best friend, so don't take this the wrong way. But in 20 years, if you're still living here, coming over my house to watch the Patriots game, still working construction, I'll fucking kill you. That's not a threat. What? That's a fact. I'll fucking kill you. What the fuck are you talking about? Look. You got something none of us have.
Oh, come on. Why is it always this? I mean, I fucking owe it to myself to do this or that. What if I don't want to?
No. Fuck you. You don't owe it to yourself. You owe it to me. Because tomorrow I'm going to wake up and I'll be 50. And I'll still be doing this shit. And that's all right. That's fine. I mean, you're sitting on a winning lottery ticket. You're too much of a pussy to cash it in. And that's bullshit. Because I'd do fucking anything to have what you got. So would any of these fucking guys. It'd be an insult to us if you're still here in 20 years. Hanging around here is a fucking waste of your time.
That moment, fuck you. You don't know it to yourself. You owe it to me. That moment, Matt
Damon's character changed right there. He's like,
oh shit.
Yeah.
Okay. When he tells him like, no. Like if you're still here, like in 20 years from now, like if you're still here, I'm gonna fucking kill you. Like,
I'm not serious. That's not a threat. That's not a threat.
That's a fact. Like, how dare you?
Yes.
Why are you still here?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then it fits beautiful to the ending, man. When he goes and knocks.
Well, that's something I wanted to talk about. The film opens on a very Gus Van Sant experimental opening credits sequence. But then the real story starts when Ben Affleck's character goes to knock on his door to pick him up.
Yeah.
And the moment the film ends with going to the door, knocking, and not
beautiful.
Just
By the way,
beautiful.
Kevin Smith actually loves that. He considers that moment of Ben Affleck like smiling, he's smiling, and he's not there. He considers that to be his favorite Ben Affleck moment.
Really?
And even going like that, like.
Yeah, he's not there. He's not there, and then Casey runs through.
He runs over like a dumbass.
He's like, all right, I get shotgun.
Yeah, and you know what's cool about those moments is that not only if you know me as a writer and as a director, I love callbacks. I love callbacks in film.
Yeah.
And that moment with Ben Affleck was a callback to the conversation he had with Will. Like I don't want to.
And he slowly starts to notice it, like.
Yeah. Yeah.
And dude, the suspense.
There's something that I want to talk about that just always goes into my mind. Why does Ben Affleck's character, why does Chucky go and knock? He doesn't honk his car. And I have a theory about this.
He did not honk, no?
Well, he honks in one moment, but it's very subtle, and he still goes. He honks at the end, and then he still goes to knock on the door. He doesn't honk. He knocks on the door. I have a theory that once upon a time, Will and Chucky had a conversation about how people always honk and those aren't civilized people or something like that. Like I have this theory that's a like character deep dive moment where if you think about Will's character, how he knows his friends know he's wicked smart. And his friends know that he's poor obviously, and he doesn't have much to his name, and he had a tough life, but he wants to be better. He wants to be more than the average Boston Southie guy. And I have a theory that just that moment, to me, I as a filmmaker, I really paid attention to that moment. Why does he go and knock? I think Will goes and talk. Like they had a conversation about this. I think Will and Chucky had a conversation about, hey man, don't honk outside my door. Like I'm not an animal. Come and knock at my door like a civilized person. Like I don't know. It's just one of those things that I've analyzed every time I watch this picture. And
I was thinking, did he notice that the car was gone? You know how they gave him a car?
Yeah, he drives the car out. That's in the end credits. You see him on the road with the car.
No. What I'm saying is Ben, Chucky, doesn't he not notice that the car's not there?
Yeah, I guess
it's something that I thought of.
But those are moments to think about. I think, like I said, every time, like Castro said, every time you watch this film, you pick up on something new.
By the way, we're talking callbacks. Son of a bitch stole my line.
Sean, if the professor calls about that job, just tell him sorry. I had to go see about a girl. Well.
Son of a bitch. He stole my line.
Oh yeah.
I love it, man.
By the way, improv moment. That wasn't in the script. That wasn't in the script. Robin Williams, literally.
No, still there? Or?
No. Yeah, everything was there except Robin Williams' line. Apparently, the original thing was Robin Williams just laughs and says, like, stupid kid or something like that.
Yeah.
But he says, son of a bitch, stole my line. That was a Robin Williams improv moment.
That's beautiful.
Robin Williams actually, let's talk about his improv moments. So the biggest improv moment that most people know about is when he's talking about his wife farting in her sleep.
That was improv.
Totally improv. And here's how you can tell. So when they're talking about his wife, my wife used to fart in her sleep. That one night she woke the dog up. She woke herself up. Yeah, I didn't have the heart to tell her. That moment when we cut to Will laughing, you see the camera shaking. That was because the cameraman was laughing. He couldn't help but laugh. So the camera was moving up and down.
No wonder.
Yeah, they talk about that because Robin Williams improv. Nobody knew he was going to say that. And he just made everybody in the room crack up. So the cameraman's over here laughing and the camera's shaking.
That does make sense.
Because Matt's laugh is
totally.
dude.
I was just about to mention that. That seems like a super genuine, like right on the spot moment, like of him laughing. Yeah. We rarely see Will laughing like that, especially.
True. That's true, especially Will. Yeah.
True.
So yeah, that was an improv moment. Just interesting. And I think as a storyteller, it's really special to see these moments because, like, the moment where Chucky talks about his uncle getting arrested. I love that scene. And he tells the story. He's like, yeah, it was the state. He pulls him over, and there's an accident, a mile down the road. So he goes to take her. So my uncle laying in his piss and vomit. He thinks, well, what the hell am I doing here? Like, I'm leaving. And he takes off, and then the cops, shows up at his doorstep the next day and is like, hey, I stopped you last night. Where were you? Let me get in your garage. Let me get in the garage, and the cop cars are just so good, dude. And then obviously, Minnie Driver. I think gets a bad rap. I think she did fantastic in this film.
Oh, she's wonderful in this.
Yeah.
She's really great in this.
She's not your typical girl next door love interest. She's not.
No,
she's a smart one. She's smart. She's
smart. She's super lovable. Her laugh is the funniest, cutest thing I've ever heard, man. Like she has a really peculiar laugh.
Is that a Boston accent too for a girl?
No, she's British. I think she's
British, right? Oh, okay. I was like,
yeah, she's British, and she brings so much lightness to the film and so much character development for Will's character, and I think she was the right choice.
Dude, the scene when he fights with Matt Damon. When she starts crying.
Yeah, when she starts crying.
It reminded me of Depth of Field, dude.
I'm afraid. What am I afraid of? What the fuck am I afraid of?
You're afraid of me. You're afraid that I won't love you back. You know what? I'm afraid too. Fuck it. I want to give it a shot, and at least I'm honest with you.
I'm not honest with you?
No, what about your 12 brothers? No, you're not going. You're not leaving.
What do you want to know? What? That I don't have 12 brothers?
Yeah.
That I'm a fucking orphan?
Yeah.
No, you don't want to hear that.
I didn't know that.
You don't want to hear that. You don't want to hear that I got
it.
fucking cigarettes put out of me when I was a little kid.
I didn't know
that this isn't fucking surgery, that the motherfucker stabbed me. You don't want to hear that shit, Skylar. Don't tell me you want to hear that shit.
I want to hear it because I want to help you, because I want to be with you.
What the fuck? What do I got? A fucking sign on my back that says save me?
No.
Do I look like I need that?
No, God, I just want to be with you because I love you.
Don't bullshit me. Don't you fucking bullshit me.
I love you.
Oh yeah, well of course.
Yeah, it just reminded me because I remember when I saw the film, I was really yelling like, "Damn, I shouldn't be yelling at a girl like this." He did the same thing, but it wasn't like
it was defensive. No, it was defensive. It was
yeah. It was beautiful, dude.
Oh, it's one of the best.
Like, let me help you. Dude. Oh, dude.
Like, what do I have a fucking sign on my back that says "help me"? Yeah, dude, it's so good. It's so good. But yeah, Minnie Driver's terrific. Yeah, guys, I think Good Will Hunting, nominated for 9 Academy Awards, rightfully so, and it won Best Original Screenplay and Best Supporting Actor. And I think Gus Van Sant. I saw a film that he did with Matt Damon called I think what was it? It wasn't Changeland. It was the Promised Land. And it was the one that John Krasinski co-wrote with Matt Damon. Yeah. And you kind of have another Good Will Hunting feel to it, but I don't think Gus Van Sant has done anything like Good Will Hunting since.
That's actually one of the things that I wanted to like bring up, especially because he gets all this credit, right? He gets like Good Will Hunting nominated for like 9 Academy Awards, gets recognition from Robin Williams, deservedly so, and like starts like lets these young actors like basically write their screenplay and like show it, and then afterwards, and I think Kevin Smith even mentions this, but afterwards they're like, you can have everything you want, Gus. What do you want? You know what? I want to remake Psycho. I want to remake Alfred Hitchcock's
Shot for Shot.
Get Vince Vaughn for it too,
and get Vince Vaughn to play Norman Bates. And who plays Marion Crane in that? Who is that? Anne Heche, isn't it Anne Heche?
Is it?
I think I want to say that it's her.
You're absolutely right, man. I think it's a hilarious moment.
It's so weird. It's such like a weird trajectory that he chose. Like, gets this massive recognition.
I think he's getting back to his roots. I think if you guys got to see Joaquin Phoenix and he won't get far away on foot, and Jonah Hill's in that picture, and that's Gus Van Sant. He directed that. I think that was 2018. And I saw Gus Van Sant again. I saw his films again through that film. So Joaquin Phoenix does a fantastic job in that film, and Jonah Hill too is underrated in that film. But he won't get far away on foot.
It's such a fascinating just filmography on his part. Just like he's able to like fluctuate between extreme independent stuff. Like didn't he also do something like is Snow Angels him or David Gordon Green?
I think that was David Gordon Green.
Yeah.
But they do have similar styles.
Yeah.
I think he did. Look, you're right. In terms of the trajectory of his filmography, he did the Kurt Cobain Last Days, which I know got a lot of good positive reviews. He did Milk with
Milk is great.
I think that was him coming back to the Academy Awards. Like it was Milk was another big picture. He did what's that? The Elephant or something like that.
Elephant,
which
yes.
got a lot of good reviews and stuff. So he's an artsy guy, man. He's just an art house guy. I think he's an art house experimental guy, and you really see that in My Own Private Idaho if you've ever had a chance to see it. River Phoenix, man, like that's what I'm telling you. If there's one thing Gus Van Sant can do is character dynamics, and that's why I admire him so much. Character and deep dive into character. But you're absolutely right, Oscar. I think the weirdness of his filmography hasn't quite.
It's so great.
You can't really put a finger on it, but he's a terrific filmmaker, well within his own right. Drugstore Cowboy is something I think doesn't get a lot of credit as well. With what's his name? The lead. I'm drawing a blank. No, not that.
Matt Dillon.
Matt Dillon. That's right. Matt Dillon, the Drugstore Cowboy. I don't think he gets a lot of credit for that one too, but his early pictures. But anyways, Good Will Hunting, guys, a terrific picture. If unless you guys have any other, I have one more moment to talk about before we transition into our next segment, and it's just the fact that when Matt Damon and Ben Affleck accepted their Academy Award, they forgot to thank Kevin Smith.
Yeah.
And Kevin Smith holds this to them. The reason that he's like, Kevin Smith talks about how he's like, the reason I got Matt Damon and Ben Affleck to come back for Dogma was because I think they felt guilty. I think they just felt guilty that they didn't thank me. And then later they publicly like thanked Kevin Smith. But he's like, I have them by the balls, man. Like I'm grateful for that because I can bring it up like, oh, well, I didn't get a thank you in the Academy Award speech. And just by saying that, I can get them in any movie I want.
Yeah.
And then come on, let's talk about Good Will Hunting 2 in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. Like, come on.
Oh, yes.
Like, come on, dude. Hunting season. Good Will 2. Good Will season 2. Yeah, dude. So good.
And isn't Gus Van, doesn't he make a cameo as well?
Yes, dude. He makes a cameo counting money. He's like, well, like Ben Affleck makes an offhand remark like, "Hey Gus, so action?" Or he's like, "Yeah, whatever, do whatever you want," and he's counting money in the background.
Nice.
All right, cool, guys. Well, unless you guys have anything else to talk about Good Will Hunting, we're gonna transition into our next segment. I'm gonna let Christian in. Just
to the audience and the fans, man, it's worth another watch. I know everybody's watched it. Definitely watch it again.
Hey, it's on Hulu right now, and it's so worth watching.
It is
absolutely.
It is on Hulu. It's a terrific picture, man. Like I said, it's my favorite film of all time, and people think I'm weird. Like my brother knows how much I love La La Land, and he's like, La La Land didn't take your first slot.
I knew it. And
I said,
$5.
And I ultimately said, like, no, like Good Will Hunting still holds a very dear place in my heart because there's no other film, in my opinion, that I've seen that's made such an impact on me for character development. The way Will Hunting develops in this film is the key example of what character development should be in cinema. So yeah, it holds a very special place in my heart. I love it. I will always love this movie. And I think it had a lot to do with me watching this film, kind of like Kevin Smith with Slacker. I think I watched Good Will Hunting and thought, man, I could do that. Like I could tell a story about a guy and a girl or a guy and his friends and just, show them in their element. And I think that's what this film did for me as a filmmaker. So check it out, guys. We're going to transition to our next film debate segment where we're just going to debate about different films that have to do with this. We have our very special guest, also Christian Yokomoto Medina. He's awesome, man. He does some film posters for Tower Productions that we've loved, and they're fantastic fan.
They're great.
Yeah. Oh, thank you, Oscar. Thank you. And Christian, I don't know if you can hear us. We're calling the segment the Tower Crown. Christian, what's going on, man?
Oh, good. All good. How about you guys?
Pretty good, man.
Good, brother.
Hey, how do you say your last name, dude? It's a cool name, Yokomoto.
Well, it's not really my last name. It's my artistic name.
Oh, okay. Your stage name. Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's cool.
A little long story. It involves a Minority Report with that one.
Nice. Good deal, man. Well, thank you for being on the show. Christian is going to be coming on the WatchTower and leading us in this film debate, which I'll let him talk about a little more.
All right.
Batter up.
Well, hello, listeners. In case of this is directed from the podcast. Well, I'm Christian Yokomoto Medina, and this is the Tower Crown.
Awesome.
Now,
awesome.
this is the ultimate film debate in which the debaters don't always know exactly what they'll be debating for.
Oh.
Okay, so throughout the weekend, we put up a poll on our Facebooks with 4 movies from the topic of the week, which is student prodigies.
Student prodigies, just having to do with Good Will Hunting. So yeah, student prodigies. 4 films. What were those 4 pictures, Christian?
So they were
already.
The movie 21.
21, starring Jim Sturgess. Yeah.
That's right. The Social Network.
Social Network, Jesse Eisenberg, Aaron Sorkin, and David Fincher's masterpiece. Yeah.
Yep.
Was it one against those, or what do you mean? Is it?
He's just naming the 4 films.
Okay. Naming the 4 films that were on the poll.
For sure.
So it was those 2, and The Theory of Everything.
Theory of Everything. Eddie Redmayne.
And
yes,
that is correct. And lastly, it was Steve Jobs.
Steve Jobs, Michael Fassbender, another Aaron Sorkin picture with who's the director?
Danny Boyle.
Danny Boyle. Yeah, fantastic.
Well, I'm gonna debate between that one and the Aston Kutcher one. So,
well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. Out of these 4 films, we put it on our Tower Productions Facebook and Christian's Outfit, the In the Mind of Yoko Facebook and stuff like that. And the poll, what were the results, Christian?
So you as an audience voted, and the 2 top winners were 2008's 21.
Yes.
And 2010's The Social Network.
Beautiful. I was hoping The Social Network would win. Awesome.
The Social Network is just an exaggerated event that happened.
Okay, we're gonna get into
everything.
Okay. I think we kind of know what's going on here, guys. So from the sounds of it here, this is how this is gonna go. To our listeners out there. Castro and I, we're kind of being co-hosts. We're going to argue about these films. Our special guest, Oscar, you get to chime in wherever you see fit.
Yeah.
And Christian is kind of going to be the judge on which debate wins. All right. So
Christian, I like that shirt, dude. It looks pretty cool.
Oh, thank you.
I very much favor The Social Network. Castro very much favors 21, and that may not always be the case. We may both agree on one film or the other, but in this case, we're going to argue because we both love these films respectively. So, Castro, you want to open with your debate on why 21 you think is better?
21 just because of Jim. I love that guy as an actor, and then just the how he goes into the wrong path is beautiful. Since he's a smart guy and he can count cards, and then Kevin Spacey teaches him how to count cards. Yeah, it's just beautiful. I wish I was like that when I was in the university.
21. Okay. Do you got some more?
Yeah. Let me see what you got.
Okay. Well, here, Jim Sturgess. I think I agree with you on that, guys. So Jim Sturgess is such an underrated actor, and his choices and what he decides to act in is really weird too. I think
the Beatles one.
No. That's not a weird choice. That's a fantastic choice.
Cloud Atlas is a weird choice.
That's a good
Cloud Atlas. No, Across the Universe is my favorite performance of Jim Sturgess, and I love him. I think that's where I first saw him. But I think after that he hasn't really done much that's notable.
He had a TV series with Ross Geller from Friends where they opened a restaurant in Brooklyn, I think.
Oh,
dude,
okay.
he's like a co-kid, but one of the best chefs.
Nice.
Awesome performance.
I gotta check that out. Jim Sturgess is good.
Yeah.
Kevin Spacey obviously good, but 21 as a whole to me felt like a popcorn flick, and The Social Network was a much deeper character piece for me. So, written by the great Aaron Sorkin, which is my favorite screenwriter of all time. He's a master at dialogue, and that's what I love. And Aaron, there's nobody better than Aaron Sorkin when it comes to writing dialogue. Aaron Sorkin did The Social Network. He did Steve Jobs, A Few Good Men. He's amazing, dude. He's an amazing. He did Molly's Game. His directorial Game. Molly's Game is so good. And he directed that. It's just Aaron Sorkin's a master. David Fincher hasn't done something like this. Like David Fincher's the Seven guy, the Fight Club guy. He didn't do a character piece like The Social Network as a drama. He did more thrillerish stuff, and I think this is his wheelhouse, man. I think this is the best thing David Fincher's done for my likes. The Social Network, of course, if you don't know, talks about it goes into the Mark Zuckerberg and the story of the creation of Facebook. And it stars Jesse Eisenberg, and it stars as Eduardo.
Andrew Garfield.
Who?
Andrew Garfield.
Andrew Garfield, yes, which did terrific in this. Justin Timberlake has a small role. It's just so good. It's
not his best film, in my opinion.
Whose best film? Fincher's?
David Fincher's, yeah.
Well, of course, because you like thrillers.
Yeah, I like Zodiac, Fight Club.
I love Zodiac.
Yeah, dude. Jake Gyllenhaal is one of my favorite actors, man. It's just
so good.
The Social Network it was just like watching us. I don't know how to say it, like a TV series that I already knew what happened and everything. Kind of like.
Oh no! I think the Social Network is awesome because you get to see these characters like explode, man, in a way that you don't really see in cinema when they talk about biopics. You know, when we were talking about biopics, the Social Network is explosive, man. Like the scene where Andrew Garfield comes into the Facebook offices and has discovered that his stocks have been diluted, and then he goes in and then he's wired in. He's wired in, and he grabs the laptop and he throws it on the ground and he says, "You issued 100 million stocks, whatever." That scene, it's you better lawyer up, asshole, because I'm not coming for 20%. I'm coming for all of it. And so Jesse Eisenberg's face is it's just so good, man. It's such a great thing. I didn't feel 21 didn't make me feel that. 21 didn't make me feel like on the edge of my seat.
Yeah, I thought it was gonna be against the theory of everything. 21 it's not compared with Social Network. I'll agree with you with that.
So love it. No, but 21 has its moments. It has its moments. It's just, to me, it's more of a popcorn flick. I rewatched The Theory of Everything too, and I still think it's more of it's like a British drama. It's kind of.
I love the acting by Redmayne.
Eddie Redmayne. Eddie Redmayne's terrific, and he won an Academy Award that year, if I'm not mistaken, right? For Theory of Everything.
Yeah, dude. Once he starts like having what he's having, dude, acting wise,
I think.
What?
Yeah, no. I think in terms of the Social Network, I think, if I'm not mistaken, Aaron Sorkin won an Academy Award for his screenplay.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
But that film just, I don't know, it strikes me, man. I think it's just the dialogue. Look, when you can make somebody watch a film, and this is my challenge as a filmmaker, because I like writing character pieces with lots of dialogue. When you can make a film that intrigues you from minute 1 to minute whatever, and it's all talking, not action, not guns and blow and cocaine. Like when it's all action, when it's all talking, that's impressive. It's extremely impressive when you can do that. When the film is all dialogue and you're intrigued the entire time. And that's what the Social Network does. It doesn't need a subplot. It doesn't need it's a courtroom drama almost, You're
just writing Quentin Tarantino's bandwagon right there.
Hey, it's important to know. It's important to note on this podcast, on the WatchTower podcast, that the great Quentin Tarantino has said that The Social Network is the best film of the 2010s.
That's true. He did say that. Yeah, he did.
He said that, and he said that.
How?
He did say that. He said that a few days ago, and he said that he believes that it's David Fincher's best film. So just FYI, the great Tarantino, who's a cinephile more than he is a filmmaker, he's a cinephile, said this about The Social Network.
He's got better films than this.
Oscar, do you have any notes on both films? Anything you want to try?
Yeah. Help me out, dude.
I'm sorry, Castro. I'm taking.
You're gonna take the other side? Okay. That's an ugly ass shirt.
I think I remember liking 21, but to me it did feel a little bit like it wanted to be like a Fincher, like Fincher light.
Yeah.
Who directed 21?
I think it was some dude. I can't remember. Some dude. I think.
Let me look it up.
Yeah, man.
Robert something.
It's Robert Lukitek.
There you go. That guy. But to me, it felt a little bit like it wanted to be like a Fincher film. Like I remember, like there were a lot of like the shots where they were counting
in the casino,
where it felt a little bit like Fight Club or like zooming past like the objects or whatever. And Social Network to me felt like I'm gonna disregard my entire style. That even was a little bit muted with Zodiac, and just focus entirely on character, and just it's gonna be like a freaking like verbal fight, like it's all just like a verbal sparring matches. It's awesome.
Yeah. I think what's also important to note about The Social Network is the way it's presented by Fincher and Sorkin is that there's no good guy in it. You get to decide. You get to decide as the audience member who was right.
Very true.
You know, and I think that's very important for cinemas, just to let the audience make their own conclusions, and you definitely get to do that with The Social Network. I think they take like Castro says, I already know that story, right? Yeah. But I think what they did, Fincher took this and said, I'm going to make you understand that you really don't know these characters. This is who these characters are. Yeah.
Well, what do you think of Jesse? What other movie have you seen that you liked from him?
Eisenberg, I mean, he did a film called that I think was super underrated. With Jason Segel.
Adventureland. No, not Adventureland.
No.
But I do like Adventureland.
I have it in my collection here. It's about David Foster Wallace, the famous author who committed suicide.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
The art.
I can't remember the name. Not the Art of Self-Defense. That's the other one, right?
No, that's the other. Oh, in which he was fantastic.
Yeah.
The Art of Self-Defense.
Perfect for Jesse Eisenberg.
It's good.
Terrific. It's such a terrific. You'll like it, Castro. I don't know if you've seen it or not.
No, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, dude, it's got that Fincher thriller feel. So I know you'd like it, but he did fantastic in that. You would think he's so monotone because that's how his character is. But he's dynamic as an actor in that, dude. It's just so great.
True. I'll give you that. True.
The Double is great too. Has anybody seen that?
The Double? No, I haven't seen it.
The Richard Ayoade film?
No. What's that one about?
It's kind of like very Terry Gilliam-esque. It's based on The Double, I want to say the Dostoevsky novel.
Is he playing like two characters or something?
He plays two characters. Yeah, he plays two characters.
I love it already, dude. I'm a Fight Club split type of guy, dude.
I think you'll like it because I mean, from an acting perspective, it's a really great performance. Where he's doing like essentially double duty.
Interesting.
Interesting, yeah.
But it's a really great performance, and it's like really weird if you enjoy like Brazil or. What's another Terry Gilliam? Like another weird Terry Gilliam.
You know what I saw recently from Terry Gilliam was the record one, song by song or something like that.
That's what's his name?
It's not Gilliam. I thought that was
The Tree of Life.
The what? No, not The Tree of Life.
Right there.
No, yeah. Oh, that's not Gilliam. I thought it was Gilliam. It's super weird, super experimental. I totally thought it was Gilliam.
Oh, is that Terry Malick?
Terrence
Malick. Yeah.
That's right. You're right. Terrence Malick. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, I thought it was
Austin one, right?
Yeah. The one. Yep. With Ryan Gosling and
Michael Fassbender.
Michael Fassbender's in that. That's right. Yeah. Anyways, Jesse Eisenberg. The one I was thinking of was The End of Tour. It's called The End of Tour.
Oh yeah. That's
and Jesse Eisenberg plays like the Nick Carraway to Jason Segel's Gatsby. And he's a reporter just interviewing David Foster Wallace, which was this guy who seemed super happy and super great, and he was a writer, and he was a renowned writer. Like his book, Infinite Jest, is just intense, man. It's a great book, and he committed suicide. And this is what this film is about. Just like the moments he spent with this writer, and Jesse Eisenberg's performance is just terrific, man. It's just terrific. Jesse Eisenberg's great.
Okay, because I've only seen him like in Now You See Me and stuff like that, so I really didn't.
No, I mean he was good in those movies too.
Oh yeah, for sure. I just never put him up top, but
and then obviously he was Lex Luthor most recently in the DC universe.
Oh yeah,
he was Lex Luthor.
Actually, he was good in that. Actually, yeah, that's true. He was dark.
He's shoving Volanter's into people's mouths. The most bizarre way ever.
Juicy character for sure, but he's done great performances. The Art of Self-Defense took me by shock, man. I didn't think I was gonna like it the way I did.
It's a weird one, yeah.
All right, Christian, do you have any other thoughts on both films, or do you have your?
Well, I was stepping back because this was supposed to be like what you guys were supposed to.
No, please.
But the thing is, like, if we were to crown a winner, definitely it will be.
Do it.
The Social Network.
Yeah.
I heard nothing out of 21.
No, that's good. I'll take it.
Moment. Cool.
That's a little trophy. That's awesome.
Do you have any? Yeah.
Cool.
If you guys have seen this, check this out on YouTube, guys. You'll be able to see the awesome graphics that Christian is doing for this segment. So awesome. Do you have any other thoughts, Christian, on any of the films, on both films?
Well, out of this poll, like The Social Network was my favorite one. It's the one just 3 days ago, I was able to show it to my wife.
Oh, nice.
I was like, if she likes it, that means it's good.
Yeah. I recently rewatched it too, man. It's a film I have to see at least once a year. Like I love that movie. I really do. I will never get tired of that movie. Do you have any thoughts on Good Will Hunting, Christian? You know, we did talk about Good Will Hunting a little bit. Do you have any? Have you seen it? Do you have any thoughts on it?
First of all, amazing movie. For me, it's one of my top 3 scripts ever made.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
I've always categorized that as one of the examples of how a screenplay should be made.
Sure. Exactly.
For sure. Awesome.
And sadly, that was basically the last one that they did. I would have loved for them to do at least another
we were actually talking about that before you hopped on, Christian. It looks like Oscar brought to our attention that they co-wrote the new Ridley Scott film that's getting ready to.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Well,
so that should be
Ridley
awesome.
Scott is a hit and miss for me, but
yeah. Hey, he did well in The Martian, and that was with Matt Damon. So I love The Martian.
Yeah, but although that one, the screenplay was from
Drew Goddard.
The guy who did it. Yeah, Drew Goddard. Yeah.
He did Dune, didn't he? He did Dune, or he's doing Dune, or he co-wrote Dune, or something like that.
He's doing Dune?
Did he?
Or did he? I thought he had something to do with Dune, Drew Goddard. Maybe I'm confused.
At least I haven't heard of it. I don't know.
Okay. Well, anyways, well, awesome, guys. Awesome. I think this was a fantastic talk. I think we're coming up on an hour, if not already past an hour. We're at an hour. Yeah.
It's 4 hours long.
We're right at an hour. We think I think this is a good time to kind of close up. But if you're out there listening and you haven't seen Good Will Hunting, or you haven't seen, for instance, The Social Network, 21, Theory of Everything, all these student kind of prodigy films that are very good character pieces as to why, what these student prodigies go through in their minds, man. Like they're almost born with this, and you get to see what in their lives affected them to kind of pursue knowledge and pursue something outside of their own head. So Good Will Hunting is, like we've said, a fantastic picture. We really encourage you to check that out. It is currently playing on Hulu. And if you're seeing on YouTube, this is my pride and joy, my Blu-ray collection. Please collect Blu-rays. Please buy Blu-rays and buy the Bluray of Good Will Hunting.
Physical media.
Physical media, yes. I'm on this podcast.
Showbox.
No.
Popcorn movies.
No, but I'm really on.
No.
On this podcast, I'm going to fight for physical media.
Yeah,
I'm going to fight for physical Blu-rays. Okay.
Support the directors and the makers. Yeah.
Yeah.
On that note, I've actually heard from from all those YouTubers and they actually do really well on the whole physical media thing.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Apparently, thanks to this whole situation that we're living in the world, physical media has actually been going up.
Awesome.
Which they were dropping for a while, and it's still going up again. So
wow.
Yeah, it's probably because of me.
What is it?
If you can see
because of
my image on YouTube, guys, it's probably because of me, because I buy way too many Blu-rays.
But why do you guys think that though? Is it what's the difference? Why is it going back up?
I think that streaming is you can unfortunately, in my personal opinion, Amazon Prime is the best streaming service, because though sometimes you may have to rent or buy, you will always find whatever film you're looking for on Amazon Prime. On the streaming service. And on Netflix, they have an exclusivity to a certain studio. Hulu has an exclusivity to a certain studio. Sony has an exclusivity. So I think that has a lot to do with it. You're not going to find all the films on the streaming service.
Oh, okay. That makes more sense.
You're not going to find...
For a while, people were trying to look for Contagion, but that got sold out.
I was one of those. As soon as everything was happening,
my friends make fun of me because they're like, dude, you could just stream whatever movie you want. And I tell them, here's the thing though. When I go to a super extreme, when society has crashed and the internet doesn't work anymore, I will have my physical media that will still work. I will have
that little section to the left too, huh? The little hidden section to the
little criteria. Yeah. My Criterion section is my pride and joy, man. If you collect Blu-rays, collect Criterion, please. But yeah, no. When it comes to physical media, a big thing too is what makes every film lover want to become a filmmaker, the behind the scenes, the bonus features. You can't get bonus features on streaming. I mean, unless you go on YouTube and look for it. But beyond that, it's on. That's what the Blu-ray benefits.
Okay.
So it's always cool to collect the artwork.
Look at what Christian made, dude. Look what Christian made. For those of you that are listening on the platforms and not seeing, Christian, like I said, has made our like fan posters and these awesome posters of the Tower.
Legit posters,
and he made one of my closure trilogy of Edge of Desire, At a Loss, and Ineffable, which are on the Tower YouTube. If you guys want to check those out, he made a physical Blu-ray, like he printed it out and made it. The slipcover. It's my favorite thing in the world right now, and I want one.
Hey, Christian, how did you come up with those like the 3 colors? That's beautiful, dude.
Well, mostly.
It's a record.
When I was looking, it's a record.
Yes, it's a record. It's so good.
Well, each one I was mostly looking at how the short films were. Like this one, these were mostly the colors for it. And At a Loss was mostly kind of like that gold part.
Ineffable,
I had to kind of like mix it up, for it to be distinguished, right? And that's where I went to purple, kind of ish.
Hey,
beautiful, man. Beautiful job.
Yeah. For the back part, I went with like more of a gold part.
Look at that. Who's that? Who's that actor in the middle? Who's that?
That sexy guy right there, laying down.
Enjoying your life.
Heard he's an asshole, open.
Okay. Yeah, he is, but that's besides the point. No, Christian, I'm still waiting for my man. Like, I hope you set one aside for me because I love it and I want it in my collection. I want to frame. Yeah, I love it, man. But in case you guys haven't checked those out, just a little housekeeping kind of here at the end. We're going to be starting with season 2 of the Tower Cast, where you can hear us talk more about, production and filmmaking, writing, directing, acting, everything. You kind of hear it there. And then WatchTower is going to focus on more cinema and tackling more films and talking more films. So please stay tuned, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in to All That Is Tower Productions. Make sure to also check out Movies Mayhem Soap, and also check out In the Mind of Yoko on Facebook, where you can see some awesome design work that Christian does. Does anybody else have anything to say? Anything you guys want to shout out or talk about?
Also, Oscar's podcast. Shout it out real quick.
Yeah, I already did the Movies Mayhem Soap. Mayhem Soap I'm assuming on all major platforms. I listen to it on Apple Podcasts.
Yeah, Apple. Also, just to clarify, so Christopher doesn't kill me. It's not really my podcast.
I know you're kind of more of a frequent guest, but you're in almost every episode, dude. And I'm gonna say, I enjoy the episode you're on, Oscar, because you bring a different perspective to the table, dude. When you and Chris talk about movies together, dude, it's so good. And then obviously when producer George is on, it's a special treat.
Producer George is.
Yeah.
What's cool about producer George, man, is that he has a special place in his heart for Scorsese films.
Yes,
and he talks a lot about Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore, like as a palate cleanser for him for films. So me and him connect with that, dude. It's just producer George is cool. Chris is cool. Chris is the main host, of course, of Movies Mayhem Soap. So make sure to check out.
Sounds like a fun podcast, dude, for sure.
It is. It's good. I hope to be invited back to it soon. So that would be fun.
When society is not destroying itself, we can like go out into the world, we'll be able to do this once again.
Yeah,
and in the same room together.
Yes, and we'll be able to do like Oscar said, the
Avengers episode. The
Avengers episode of the WatchTower and Movies Mayhem Soap coming together. So awesome, guys. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll see you all next time. The WatchTower should be coming out on a bi-weekly consistency. So make sure to look out for an episode every other week on every major podcasting platform. Make sure to subscribe, make sure to share, and also make sure to check out the video element on YouTube. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Carlos de la Torre, and we'll see you next time.
Love you guys.